With a population of over 400,000, today's Minneapolis is a far different city than it had been in 1880 at 45,000. Indeed, at the time there was only a single bridge spanning the Mississippi River, the Hennepin Avenue Suspension Bridge. The milling industry made up the riverfront of Minneapolis and was contributing to a population increase as city leaders sought to incorporate what would then have been considered a modern transit system. Street bridges would be built at points across the river over the preceding decade, but the cornerstone crossing would become a rail bridge that some deemed pure folly, yet is the only historic river crossing from Minneapolis's pioneer era that still stands today. This is the Stone Arch Bridge. The expansion of city transit in the late 19th century would bring together Minneapolis city leaders and railroad mogul James J. Hill to construct a railroad bridge to permit the flow of trains into the city from the opposite shore at a gently turning angle via Hill's developing Great Northern Railway. So, great, they built a bridge. Easy setup, right? Well, the Mississippi River of the time was a wide crossing that was only sparsely tamed by primitive dams of the time. Engineers would be designing a structure more than a third of a mile in length, 28 feet wide, that stands 2 stories above the river, and would be able to support heavy steam locomotives and their consists carrying loads from the developing industries of the region of the time, as well as the influx of passengers establishing homesteads in Minneapolis and St. Anthony, as the East Bank community would be known. This part of the river was not navigable by boat, and would remain so until 1956, when the Army Corps of Engineers would construct the ship locks still used today. Even with the modern spillway, the structure is still considered an engineering marvel, given the landscape construction crews had to traverse in the roughly 3 years in which planning and construction would take place. The result is a fantastic span made from granite and magnesium limestone sourced from Minnesota and Iowa that J.J. Hill believed would be impervious to erosion, as the landscape of the river of the time was proving expedient. From 1907 to 1911, the bridge's structure underwent upgrades to support heavier trains, then again in 1925 to accommodate larger passenger trains, and furthermore in the 1950s and 60s when the present dam apron and locks were constructed, necessitating 2 arches be replaced with a war and truss span to accommodate river barges. In 1965, the 7th pier sunk over a foot in a major flood event and the entire bridge was renovated. The Minneapolis Great Northern Passenger Rail Depot would be raised by 1978, and the bridge would be converted into a bike and pedestrian trail river crossing by 1994. As freight was waning in downtown by that time, freight operations having mostly shifted to intermodal connections along the Midway and Northeast yards. Today we're walking under cloudy skies from the East Bank in Old St. Anthony to the West Bank's Mill District. For tourists, the bridge affords connections between trails, historic districts, and riverfront overlooks. For locals, the bridge is a well-utilized commuter access point into and out of downtown Minneapolis by bike or by foot. It sits amongst a Main Street riverfront business district and Father Hennepin Park, a historic section of early city parkland. To the right of the bridge, trails lace over the effluent from the massive Pillsbury A Mill. The flour mill was completed 2 years before the Stone Arch Bridge. The design of the water flow through this area is inherent to the current St. Anthony Falls Laboratory, a University of Minnesota facility that, in conjunction with Xcel Energy, teaches and develops people and technology related to water resources, engineering, hydromechanics, wind engineering, and geophysical fluid dynamics. To the left, Minneapolis' second skyline is visible, the Mill District. Once the capital of flour production, the riverfront neighborhood of downtown Minneapolis now houses thousands of citizens in former industrial buildings turned residential renovation projects. The Guthrie Theater also calls the banks of the Mississippi home, its endless bridge protruding towards but never intersecting the river. The importance of the bridge as a commuter trail and tourism destination, along with its adjacency to the city core, have benefited the Mill District today just as the development of the bridge more than 140 years ago did for the area. With the bridge being upgraded over time, the Minneapolis riverfront could solidify its place as a vital profit center for Midwest commodities, while St. Anthony on the opposite shore saw development to a proportionally smaller degree, such as it still remains to this day. Beyond the spillway, the 3rd Avenue Bridge, the longest concrete S-curve bridge in the world, is receiving a new deck and other rehabilitations. The riverfront of the Mill District offers obvious clues to its past, such as Mill City Museum and Mill Ruins Park, whereas long abandoned right-of-ways and bridges long dismantled are more subtly scattered down West River Road. As of July 2023, the locks were closed to river traffic, with barge loading being conducted further downriver in St. Paul. However, the Army Corps of Engineers building appears in good repair, showing off its modern federal architecture. Here's the point of the bridge where 2 arches were replaced with the truss span to accommodate the lock. A jaunt on the Stone Arch Bridge will kill some time while letting one take in a wide-open view amidst the present extent of Mississippi River's historic crawling, rock-eroding falls, with the surrounding city and its modern conveniences barely a breath and a block or 2 away. From the light rail line, the bridge is about 8 blocks or a 15-minute walk at a slow pace down Chicago or Park Avenues from the downtown East Stadium Station. Access is free, and there always seems to be people on the bridge. Thanks for watching. Our next bridge is straight ahead, and it's not just a bridge, it's a whole building. We'll see you then.